morning, folks.
Good morning.
It's another Wednesday morning, and this is our Marital Miles series. Now, we just did about 2.4 miles and counting. So we're still walking, we're still doing it. Today we have a very unique talk, and it is in the form of a question. One of our subscribers sent us a question and posed it to us to answer. All right, what was the question again?
The question was, if you are sent if you send a song, a love song, I'm assuming, to your spouse, and the spouse responded to you to say you're still not doing what you need to be doing, or something I'm just paraphrasing, you're still not doing what you should be doing, how would you react to the response, or how would you deal with getting such a response? And it's a tricky question, because I don't think there's a cookie cutter way in which to respond to the scenario.
We probably would have to answer it in light of how we would do it.
Yeah, or try to dissect, or or try to make some assumptions, because the question has a lot of missing pieces.
Morning.
Like you would need to have more information as to what's the reason for the response from the other person, and stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna try to answer from a male perspective, because we don't know if the spouse is male or female, or vice versa, whatever.
Right.
From men, most men, most of the time when a man responds about you not doing what you're supposed to do and stuff like that, it involves some type of physical thing. You understand? Most of the time. There's always exceptions to the rule. But for most men, their whole entire life is surrounded by, it's their whole entire life, or their marriage or their relationship surrounds intimacy.
They're physical beings, I guess.
Right. So when a man says you haven't done what you're supposed to do, chances are it's a physical thing. Chances are that's what they're making reference to. And if a person sends, if a female spouse sends her male counterpart a song, it usually is because she is feeling that emotional attachment, or she is you get a vibe and you want to send some type of subliminal message to your spouse. But again, for most men, their subliminal message is null and void. We're walking with our backs to the sun, so our face is a little bit shaded. But guys, for the most part, a guy, he wants to know that something physical is happening, and something physical is happening within certain intervals. He doesn't want to wait long on the opportunity to get physical in a relationship. And so his response is probably something that is not premeditated, but something that he has been pining over, you know what I mean, for a while. And frustration is starting to kick in, and him ready now. Him say, listen, yeah, waste time. You send me song and you're not the way you're supposed to do. That's just how a man respond. I mean, what do you think? Am I dead on the nail? Guys, let me know if you agree. Especially for the female. A female will not identify with a man's version of this whole scenario. Because guess what? For a female, she wants a nice song to bring about some type of mood, some type of vibe. And if the song is appreciated, it may very well lead to the place where the man wants to go, from the jump.
And then we are not one-track people. We are compartmentalized. And so we're not always thinking the same thing all the time. But in that particular moment, we might be, you know, in a particular mood, or the song reminds us of the spouse, or the song is sending a message that you think is appropriate for the spouse,
to your relationship.
A message that you want to send to them based on how you're feeling at the time. And if the spouse is smart, what they would do.
I don't think it. All right, go ahead.
Is come home at night, set the mood, and play about the same song, and then see if it goes somewhere. but on another note, though, I believe that that's how relationships end up being a lot of times, not for just the party who wrote the question, but for everybody. It's like we all have our issues and our challenges in our relationships, and for the most part, yeah, we live with them. You know, we move on and we live with them, and then when a situation occurs or arises, that is when we make back reference to the problem that we're having. You understand me?
Oh, so what you're saying is that, what you're saying is that he might have very well, you know, again, speaking if the spouse is male,
right,
he might have very well had the resentment going for a while,
right,
and not say anything about it, or dealt with it in any way.
Or if he said anything about it, it probably wasn't resolved. And so that's why it's very important in relationships to, one, communicate. Because if you don't communicate, the person not gonna know that, listen,
there's an underlying problem.
There's an underlying problem, or they won't know that this thing is an ongoing thing that is bothering me. Listen, it was bothering me, but because you're moving on and you're making life happen, you feel like, okay, they're over it. But
well, I think for the most part, a lot of times men will, you know, bottled up their issues, and they will keep this issue going on the back burner for quite some time until they can't do anything other than release, you know, the vent up or built up resentment, or vent their emotions. A man might have an issue with his spouse, and if the spouse gets physical, get intimate, you know, with him for a certain period of time, he will not bring up the issue, even though it has nothing to do with the physical aspect of things. But he can just use the physical interaction to take his mind off it.
Right. And
so whenever it does surface, it comes back even more so stronger because he has been dealing with this for quite some time. But he can use food, sex, you know, activities, all different type of thing to just mute that particular issue that he may be carrying around.
It's a coping, how to cope.
Yeah, yeah.
With the situation.
So when she sends a song, for instance, and his response is, you're not the way you're supposed to do. I mean, this is him coming from the depth of his concern. This is him saying, you know, you are trying to avoid the issue by using a song as a distraction. It is him saying a song will not resolve the issue if you are not addressing the problem.
And it goes right back to love languages. Even though these two responses might not be specific love languages, but it's just two different ways that each person would express love. So for one, it could be physical, and if you're not doing physical, then you don't love me. For another, as you know, in the case of the question, that's a way of expressing love by sending somebody a nice romantic song, you know.
But again,
mushy.
for the female, you know, very well and all right that, you know, she feel emotional and the song brings out a certain level of you know, tenderness in her thoughts and whatever. But for the male, until we come to the point of physicality, I will always have issues that I will put over your attempts. You know, your attempt.
Anything else you do will not suffice or not be sufficient.
Right.
If whatever desires that you have are not being met.
No, yes, Sata. So now the question is flipped. What if it's a male who send this song and the female response is that you're not the way you're supposed to do? What in your mind, if you can assume, would be the reason why she respond that way? Chances are it's not me. I gotta just jump in because I try to make you answer the question.
The woman a love song, and the male says,
and the woman says,
yes, you're not doing it. I don't even know, because
you're answering like a genuine female. I mean, you know, say I probably him never carry out the garbage. I probably him never wash out the plate. Some real trivial things in the man's mind. Women will be upset over some trivial things. You see me? Worse.
Send me no love
if it pervades. If it continues, if she talk to you about it for 100 miles and you still don't respond.
The man is probably not carrying his weight at all.
Wow.
You know, in the areas where she is looking for the male to.
But do you think that would be a surprise though if a male just randomly send his spouse a nice love song and say, thinking of you, honey? Would that be surprising to her? It
would be surprising, but if she is upset at the moment, obviously that's going to be the response. Because that's how we are. We're going to snap if we're feeling a particular way. But in general, I feel that, well, for me, I can't speak in general. For me, that's something that would be, you know, very receptive. I'd be very receptive to something like that.
I'm sending you one in a minute.
So, and then, you know, men are not usually that type. Most men are not that type to even take the energy to send a song to his wife or to his spouse.
But suppose we get a nice song, you know, like was playing on the radio, and we were like, oh my God, you know.
How many times would you think of doing something like that?
Not many. Not many.
As I say, we can't use our relationship as a blueprint for most relationships because we can only go based on what we live.
Okay.
Everybody else's relationship. There are men out there who would do that in a heartbeat.
Right.
Vice versa. So.
Well, I mean, to wrap this up, I think if the spouse who sent the music is a female, and if the male responded, you know, you're still not doing what you're supposed to do, I think this is an opening to not get mad, but to start to reassess, you know, what you're doing in the relationship or not doing.
And it doesn't have to be anything physical or sexual, you know.
Right.
It can be, what if she's not keeping the house? What if she's not...
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you use it as a point of introspection.
Right.
To take an existential look at your role, at how you're carrying your part of the relationship. Switch sides. Let me see if I can get more sun. Yeah. You know, and then address it. What you don't want to do is address it in anger, because that's just a point of contention. It's going to start a big argument. You know? And then you're going to get vexed and all of them things there. What would you say to the male who send the music and the female respond?
To the male who sends the music?
And this female respond in that way.
So I thought you like.
Wow, that's it. I'm done with the Marital Miles. You know? I am done.
It's your thing, because your thing, man. I think it's pretty much the same approach. It's always looking introspectively, you know, looking at yourself existentially to see, like you said, where could I have gone wrong? Or it's always important to have a conversation, because a lot of times assumption is made.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
We'll make assumptions, or somebody says something to you and immediately you get in your feelings and you start resenting the person even more. Instead of coming together and say, hey, where did that response come from? What is the issue?
Where did we go wrong?
Yeah, how can we fix the issue is what we need to get to the bottom of. And so even though I would be mad and I would be pissed off, you know, eventually that's the point where we need to get to.
I mean, fair enough. Nothing wrong with being cross, hungry, miserable, you know. But yeah, relationship is not cookie cutter. Not everything applies to the goose applies to the gander. You know, we have to, each person have to make them assessment as to where they are in their relationship and what is the next best move. And when your spouse send you a song, smile and nod and pray for the best.
Listen to the words.
Listen to the words of the song because it has
Message.
subliminal messages. And then from there, just do your best to make the best of what you have, man. Hey, Marital Miles, you remember to like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Yardie TV is on. Guys, if it's the first time you're watching us, please subscribe to our channel and just, you know, keep this thing going. All right? And if you have a question, send us, DM us the question. We are on Instagram, Yardie TV. We are on Facebook at Yardie TV. We're on TikTok at Yardie TV. Yeah, find us, man.
Also, respond and let us know how you would handle the situation.
Yeah. All right, so we're gone again. Peace. It's been another Marital Miles. Marital Miles.